Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and I'm going to be bringing you another historical outfit guide for the game. And this one is going to be for the historical Jesse James. So I'm not going to be basing this off any movies, it's only off historical photographs. I think I did a pretty dang good job. I think it looks a lot like him. So let's just start with a little background information on the guy himself and then we'll do weapons and then clothing. Jesse Woodson James was an American outlaw, bank and train robber, guerrilla, and leader of the James Younger Gang. Raised in the Little Dixie area of western Missouri, James and his family maintained strong Southern sympathies. He and his brother Frank James joined pro-Confederate guerrillas known as bushwhackers, operating in Missouri and Kansas during the American Civil War. As followers of William Quantrill and Bloody Bill Anderson, they were accused of committing atrocities against Union soldiers and civilian abolitionists, including the Centralia Massacre of 1864. After the war, as members of various gangs of outlaws, Jesse and Frank robbed banks, stagecoaches, and trains across the Midwest, gaining national fame and often popular sympathy despite the brutality of their crimes. The James brothers were most active as members of their own gang from about 1866 until 1876, when, as a result of their attempted robbery of a bank in Northfield, Minnesota, several members of the gang were captured or killed. They continued in crime for several years afterward, recruiting new members, but came under increasing pressure from law enforcement seeking to bring them to justice. On April 3rd, 1882, Jesse James was shot and killed by Robert Ford, a new recruit to the gang who hoped to collect the reward on James's head and a promised amnesty for his previous crimes. Already a celebrity in life, James became a legendary figure of the Wild West after his death. Despite popular portrayals of James as the embodiment of Robin Hood, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, there is actually no evidence that he and his gang shared any of their loot from any of their robberies with anyone outside their close kinship network. Scholars and historians have characterized James as one of the many criminals inspired by the regional insurgencies of ex-Confederates following the Civil War, rather than as a manifestation of alleged economic justice or of frontier lawlessness. James continues to be one of the most famous figures from the era, and his life has been dramatized and memorialized numerous times. Alright, so we're going to start it off with a matched set of Schofield revolvers made up like this. So what I did here was I went with the long barrel, improved sights, improved rifling. I was gonna go with the pearl grips because they're white and his were clearly, so I'm basing this off of the historical examples of the guns that were basically the last ones he ever owned or the ones probably most famously associated with him, even though he had others famously associated with him. And those ones had ivory grips, but they were worn down a bit and they looked kind of yellowish. So I was gonna go with the pearl grips to try to match the closest to what the ivory starts with, but then I decided the ironwood grips with the myrtle varnish matched the color of his grips most accurately on his Schofield revolvers. So that's why I went with those myrtle grips. Then I did no engraving, no carvings, and I made the barrel, cylinder, and frame nickel plated and the hammer, sight, and trigger black and steel. And now the reason for this is, like I said, I'm basing this off of the historical example that exists in real life, and they're kind of wore down. But in the pictures of those guns, the sight, hammer, and trigger all look to be kind of blackened. I don't know if that's just because the nickel plating is wore off on them, or if it started out with the blackened. So it's hard to say, but that's why I designed it this way. And like I said, he's very famous for having a matched set of these revolvers, so we're going to do two of these. It should be noted that you could do a lot of different options because he was also very famous for early in his career using a Remington 44 caliber New Army revolver. That was a gun that he used for quite some time. And he was also well known to have used a kind of, it looks like pewter in the examples, but I'm sure it was just nickel plated to start with, Colt single action Army with the 7.5 inch cavalry barrel and again ivory grips. He used a bunch of different guns. It's just most people associate the Schofield revolvers with Jesse James because he was such a proponent of them. So that's why we're going to use a match set of these nickel-plated Schofield revolvers for this outfit of Jesse James. Alright, and so this is what our outfit is going to look like for the historical Jesse James build. So we're going to start off with hair. I went with a medium-length hair but swept back because I'm basing this whole outfit off a single picture except for the hat, which I got from another picture that was taken from around the same time period. But this whole outfit, for the most part, is based off of the famous photograph that many people argue whether whether or not it's a legitimate photograph, but it's definitely a picture of Jesse James. They just don't know if the way that it's put together is accurate, because it's the photograph of him sitting next to Robert Ford, the man who would eventually murder him. So I showed that when I was talking about the history behind Jesse James, talking about his background and everything. I showed that photograph first. So that's the outfit that we're basing almost the entirety of this outfit off of, except for the hat. So that's where I get the facial hair. That's where I got all the rest of the stuff he's wearing except for the hat. So like I said, for the hair, I went with a medium length, darker brown hair, kind of swept back. And then for the facial hair, I gave him the full kind of goatee look, because that's what he has in that photograph. But that's hair. Let's go through the clothing one item at a time. All right, and so for starters, I went with the military scout hat. And now I did this for a couple reasons. One of which being it looks pretty dang similar to the other photograph that I used near the beginning that shows him standing next to one of the youngers and his brother Frank. And in that picture, he's wearing a hat that looks almost identical to this. And it kind of fits his military background and such, so that's why I think this hat looks the best. You could go with the stalker hat. It looks a little bit more uniform, but I think this hat matches the historical example from the same time period as the rest of this outfit better than any of the other options I could have gone with. So that's why I used the military scout hat, and I use this variant because it's the darkest. The one he's wearing in the picture looks black, but we don't have like a clean black variant of this hat, so I just went with this one because I think it's the darkest out of all the options available. So for the coats, I went through quite a few options before I determined that I was going to use the black duster coat, and that's mostly just because I'm pretty sure in that picture he's wearing a longer jacket, something that's actually past his knees if he would be standing up. I was going to go with the everyman jacket, the roller jacket, or the Antoine jacket because they're black and the lapels sit like the ones he wears in the picture better, but they're all too short. So I think the black duster coat is the best option out of everything that's available in the game for this outfit. So then I gave him this variant of the traditional vest, this kind of darker black looking one with the stripes. Now this is probably the one item that matches his outfit the least well, but in the picture he's wearing either a second jacket underneath, which he could be, or a cardigan or something, or he's wearing a vest. We can't tell because he's wearing the duster over top of it, but I think this vest pretty closely imitates what he's wearing. Now his is partially unbuttoned, we can't do that, and I consider going with the buckskin king vest because it has one of the buttons undone, but I think this one matches what it looks like the best. It would be better if it was just all black. Other than that, the cut is pretty well. It goes around the neck about the same way. It goes up about the same height. So I think this looks as close as we can get to matching whatever he's wearing under his duster in that photograph. So that's why I went with this variant of the traditional vest. Then for shirts, I went for the cleaner white variant of the side collar shirt. And the reason I did that is because he's clearly wearing a side collar shirt in the picture. It's now the button's on the other side. Instead of being on the left side, it's actually on his right side. But the collar sits about the same. He's got it buttoned up. He's not wearing any neckwear, and it looks a lot like this. So like I said, I think this shirt fits the outfit the best. Then for weapon equipment, it was kind of hard to do. This one was also not from that photograph because he's not wearing a gun belt in that photograph. But in the one where I got the hat from, he is wearing a gun belt, and it looks very similar to this. I'm pretty sure it's brown. It looked pretty smooth, didn't really have a lot of ornamentation on it. So I think this variant of the bandit gun belt fits it the best. And then same goes for the offhand holster. I went with the darker brown variant of the bandit holster because, again, like I said, the one he wears is pretty smooth. It doesn't look like it's got any decorations or any sort of extra texturing on it. And he uses a matched set of Schofield, so we're going to need two holsters. So that is the weapon equipment. Then for the pants, I went for these gray and black striped variant of these studded pants. Now this one wasn't super easy, because since the photo is in black and white or yellow, like most Western photos were, it's kind of hard to tell what the coloring actually was, but based on the shade of it, I would just guess that it was supposed to be either black and white or gray and black. Now the ones he wears in the photograph, the stripes are closer together, so they're less spaced out than these, but other than that, I think these match the best. They've got the same sort of texture, the same cut, fit him pretty much the same, so I think these are the best option. There's a couple different ones that are gray with black stripes throughout all of the pants options, but I think this variant of the studded pants definitely works the best. Then for the shoes, I went with this kind of light tannish brown variant of the Millwright boots. And again, these are straight out of that picture of him sitting next to Robert Ford. He's wearing some sort of shoes. You can see the laces sticking out from under his pants. I don't see any line from any boots under his pants, so I'm pretty sure he's wearing either shoes or real low profile boots kind of like these. And they appear to be a pretty light color, so that's why I went with this kind of light tannish variant of these boots. I think they look almost exactly like the ones he's wearing in the picture, so I couldn't find any other options that matched it better, so that's why these are definitely the shoes you want to go with, and obviously wear them under the pants. And then he doesn't appear to be wearing any spurs in the photograph, so that's why I don't have any spurs on him. Like I said, I think it turned out pretty dang good as far as a historical Jesse James outfit goes. I think this one matches really, really well. So that's how you do it. But that's where we're going to end the video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you're one of the many people who have requested a historical Jesse James outfit, hopefully this video satisfies. There are quite a few different outfits that he has, you know, worn in various photographs that I was able to find while I was researching for this video. So if you want to do a different style, that's definitely an option, because he wore all sorts of different outfits, and for people from the Wild West, there are a lot of existing photographs of this guy. I considered also doing the Brad Pitt version from the movie The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, but I figured I would just stick with the historical because I think he's an interesting historical person, especially for, you know, Americans who really, really like a good outlaw. So that is Jesse James. I hope you liked this video. If you did, definitely leave a like on the video to show that it's a good video, because that's how the like system works, and it also helps me out in the algorithm. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or most importantly, any requests, please let me know down in the comment section what you would like to see me recreate. I'll try basically anything. I can't guarantee I'll make a video, because if I can't make a good outfit, I'm not going to make a video on it. If I do come up with a decent outfit, I will make a video. So then you'll get a video. And lastly, as always, I'd like to discuss subscriptions. If you like my content and you haven't subscribed already, I would like to ask you to please do so now and ring that bell for 2 reasons. One of which being you'll help me reach my subscriber goal, which is 30,000 by September and 50,000 by the end of the year. And the other reason being, if you like this content, you will probably like the other stuff I make. So then you will be subscribed to a channel that you will enjoy the content for. So it's a win-win. But with all that in mind, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.